Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions.
Namaste y bienvenidos, amados compañeros.
Thank you for bringing your commitment to holiness here to be with us today.
Gracias por aceptar unirnos en este encuentro hoy, este santo encuentro hoy.
Yeah, we're very, very grateful. And thank you, Liz.
Es grandioso. It's my pleasure.
So many of you have been involved in these light circles and seen the power of hearing the voice and speaking the voice in the light circles.
Muchos de ustedes están envueltos en los círculos de luz para mirar el poder que se encuentra en estos círculos de luz.
And seeing how inspiring it is to be together, to look this deeply and this directly with Jesus.
Y ver cuán inspirador es ver juntos profundamente estos deseos con Jesús.
To have that direct experience that everything he says in A Course in Miracles is true.
Y poder experimentar directamente que todo lo que se dice en un curso de milagros es verdad.
And you can also see, how our commitment to ourselves of looking every day, how important this is.
Y el estar consciente de cuán importante es el mirar todos los días la importancia de eso.
Because the ego is a commitment to hell, basically.
Sí, porque el ego invita al infierno, es eso.
It's very illuminating, isn't it? For all of you who have been looking to see how committed consciousness is to the experience of hell.
Miren, es verdad muy iluminador ver que en realidad son deseos que estamos dispuestos a mirar para liberar.
It's like, at first you're looking and going, no, Jesus, I don't have a desire for control or...
Y decimos al inicio, no, Jesús, nosotros no tenemos ese deseo de control, no.
And then you see it and just go, oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do want this.
Y luego de mirar nos damos cuenta de que sí, sí lo tenemos, claro que sí.
But then it's so holy because we're going to laugh. When you see it all the way through, it's happy laughter.
Y es muy, o sea, eso es bueno, porque el mirarlo desde la santidad nos reímos con eso que estamos viendo.
So your value to the atonement, you're so valuable, you're everything to the atonement.
Lo más valioso de la expiación es entender nuestra valía.
It can't happen without you.
Y no puede pasar fuera de nosotros, no puede suceder fuera de nosotros.
And so to be for ourselves the living demonstration of our master's highest teaching.
Y para poder reconocernos a nosotros mismos, debemos permitir que el gran maestro nos enseñe.
Mooji would say that. He said, I am my master's highest teaching.
Mooji dice que yo soy mi gran maestro.
So supreme happiness is our master's highest teaching. Jesus's highest teaching, supreme happiness.
La felicidad suprema es nuestro gran maestro. Jesús es nuestro gran maestro de la suprema felicidad.
So now we're going to hold each other's hands and let Jesus take us so deep to clear all these denials of divinity together.
Y ahora nos vamos a unir y vamos a mirar con Jesús, a unirnos con Jesús, a mirar profundamente esos deseos juntos.
And the honesty of God in these light circles isn't it beautiful? Isn't it beautiful how honest everyone is when they hear Jesus telling them, yes, you have that?
Y en la honestidad de estos círculos, nosotros nos reunimos con Jesús y admitimos que sí, que están esos deseos allí.
So then practicing in the light circles together, we get more and more clear on hearing Jesus's voice and speaking the voice, which is our natural voice.
Y nosotros en estos círculos, en la práctica de estos círculos, podemos ver que podemos escuchar la voz de Jesús y podemos enseñar a través de la voz de Jesús.
And to really understand, grok fully what joining is for.
Y podemos ver cuán grandioso e importante es el unirnos, la importancia de la unión.
See where we don't want to be joined with what we already are.
Y no queremos algunas veces ver cuán importante es esa unión, el querer unirnos.
So now this is the next step.
Ahora este es el próximo paso.
So being consistent to the light circles is very important to consistently clear all the desires to deny God in the mind.
En los círculos de luz es importante hacernos consistentes de ver los deseos y las negaciones que están allí.
And if you ask him, he is going to lead you by the hand. And I know many of you are hearing him more and more clearly. Isn't that correct?
Ok, y podemos ver que a medida que hemos estado practicando, ustedes pueden escuchar cada vez más claro la voz de Jesús. ¿Es eso correcto? Yes.
Okay. It's the one things we don't want to hear. That's what we have to hear.
Esa es una de las cosas que no queremos escuchar, que estamos escuchando.
Okay. But it's the consistency and continual willingness to listen and go internal. And that's what the light circles are reminding us to do.
Eso es la importancia de ser consistentes en estas uniones y a través de ellas nos van a recordar y nos van a enseñar qué es lo que tenemos que hacer.
So now we have to go to the deeper level of getting clarity on guidance.
Ahora vamos a ir al próximo nivel donde vamos a obtener de manera más profunda la comprensión.
So we're going to go to honesty of God and ask Jesus, am I willing to follow your guidance 100% yes or no?
Y vamos a ir con la honestidad de Dios a preguntarle a Jesús, ¿estoy dispuesto a mirar profundamente o a reconocer que voy a aceptar tu guía o no?
This is where honesty of God is going to be so very important.
Aquí es donde es importante la honestidad de Dios.
Because the way he shows all the hidden areas in the mind is by us going to look at in guidance and see.
Porque la manera en que Él va a mostrar todas esas cosas que están escondidas en nuestra mente es a través de mirarlo bajo la guía para poder verlo.
And at first, the ego does not want to hear the voice for God first.
Lo primero es que el ego no quiere escuchar la voz, la guía. Eso es lo primero.
And even if it does hear, then it doesn't want to follow the voice for God.
Quiere decir que tampoco, si no quiere escucharlo, tampoco quiere seguir la guía.
So even before we follow, we have to clear all the desires not to follow.
Y podemos ver entonces claramente que si seguimos, si la escuchamos, no la seguimos, y si la seguimos, no la escuchamos.
So there's the desire not to hear the voice, and then there's the desires not to follow the voice.
Y entonces está el deseo de no escucharlo y el deseo de no seguir la voz.
Yet for those who are devoted, you'll see how quickly you'll start to hear the voice better when you're committed to following.
Y can you repeat again, please, Guy?
For those who are really devoted to know the truth, your ability to hear is going to get better the more you follow.
Ok, aquellos que están realmente comprometidos a escuchar y a seguir la guía, deben aprenderlo, deben estar dispuestos a seguirlo y a escucharlo.
So like we want Jesus to prove something first before we say yes to following.
Y tenemos que probar algo a Jesús antes de decir que los estamos siguiendo.
It doesn't work like that. We say yes to following and then he can show us the truth.
Ok, eso no funciona así. Sencillamente tenemos que decir sí y Él nos muestra la verdad.
So let's see if we can go together to get as clear on guidance as possible.
Y vamos todos juntos y Él nos va a mostrar la verdad de la mejor manera posible.
So coming together with brothers in the light circles to follow guidance will be going even deeper in the mind.
Si vamos juntos en los círculos de luz, vamos a poder ir profundamente a los rincones de la mente.
So we have light circles, as you know, twice a day.
Solo 2 veces al día.
And then now every day of the week, and now on Thursdays is going to be joining to look at honesty of God around guidance.
Y los jueves nos estamos uniendo en la honestidad de Dios para seguir la guía.
I remember the first couple of times I was joining to look at guidance with someone. Boy, I didn't want to do that.
La primera vez que nos estábamos reuniendo no queríamos escuchar, o sea, a nada acerca de esto.
Because it's kind of like, who the hell are you to tell me what to do kind of thing.
Porque no queremos que nos digan qué es lo que tenemos que hacer en este tipo de cosas.
Well, the first thing, one, it's developing trust with our brother.
Can you repeat again, please?
First of all, it's joining to look at guidance is a deep development of trust with brothers.
Ok, la primero que tenemos que hacer para poder mirar profundamente es confiar en nuestros hermanos. Unirnos y confiar en nuestros hermanos.
Okay, it's undoing of the desire for an experience that your brother can steal heaven from you.
Es el deseo de mirar profundamente que tu hermano aún tiene o puede hacerte algo a ti.
You know, and that's directly from the Course, the belief that a brother can steal heaven.
Y preguntar profundamente si tu hermano aún puede hacerte algo a ti.
But we know that our brother is the pathway to heaven.
O preguntar si nuestro hermano nos ha hecho algo a nosotros anteriormente.
Even though we have to go through a phase of seeing how much we really want to kill our brother off.
Y tenemos que preguntar cuán profundo puede ser ese deseo de querer asesinar a mi hermano. Wow, this is kill our brother. No.
Okay.
Now,
I guess out of, we're going to get YouTube censorship. So I'll just call it the K word, okay?
Esa es la llave, pues. Ese es la clave.
So the ego goes, oh no, I don't want to K anybody.
El ego dice, no quiero darle la llave a nadie.
Okay. All right. No. But when you go down there, don't judge it when you see it, but just let him show you the truth of that.
Cuando estemos allí, no juzguemos nada, sencillamente permitamos que la verdad nos sea mostrada.
Okay. Because that's part of the ego's mechanism to avoid following, he's saying.
Esa es una de las maneras o de los mecanismos del ego para que nosotros no sigamos la guía.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down when you join, you're going to
Lo
write,
primero que
spend 3 minutes, not a long time, of the things you did last week and the things you're going to do this week. You think you're going to do. Your
no esperemos
plan.
3. Ok, lo primero que tienes que hacer al unirte es esperar aproximadamente 3 minutos acerca de y ver qué fue lo que vieron la vez anterior.
Okay, so we'll just spend, or you can, if you want, you can say, Jesus, what things do I need to write on this paper to look at, and let him deliver them.
Es preguntarle a Jesús, ¿qué es lo que tenemos que ver en este momento con esto que estamos viendo en esta guía, en este papel?
So we're just going to meditate with Jesus on that, write those things down on a piece of paper.
Ok, tenemos que meditar y ver con Jesús qué es lo que tenemos que hacer con este pedazo de papel.
And then we're going to come back, we'll do the light test to see what the light says about them.
Y luego tenemos que volver para entonces hacer la prueba de la luz.
And then you can ask Jesus, am I blocking anything in my mind that I don't want to look at that I've done?
Podemos preguntarle a Jesús si hay alguna cuestión en nuestra mente que está bloqueando lo que tengamos que hacer.
Okay, like 1 more minute.
1 minuto más.
So 30 seconds.
Ajá. Entonces, 30 segundos.
Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our happy learner hats.
Ok, lo próximo que tenemos que hacer es colocarlo en el sombrero feliz. Yes,
So
and happy.
it's just to learn. We're going to be neutral about this looking, and we're just going to explore this with Jesus, okay?
Tenemos que ser muy neutrales y verlo con Jesús, siendo
Because
neutrales sin juicio.
your function, the function of the celebration of all the love there is,
La función es, o nuestra función es la celebración de todo lo que es.
okay? Because the ego is a body job machine. It gives jobs to the body to do.
Porque el ego es el trabajo del cuerpo, es todo, es sencillamente todo lo que tenga que ver con el cuerpo.
So
la máquina del
we're
cuerpo.
putting everything now through the Jesus filter to be able to build to know immediately whether this is in holy purpose to heal my mind or this is not in holy purpose to heal my mind. Okay.
Ok, lo vamos a pasar a colocar todo en el filtro de Jesús. Cada cosa para mirarlo a través del filtro, si es para sanar nuestra mente o si no es para sanar nuestra mente. Y es el filtro que vamos a utilizar.
So we're going for a mind that's so clear, it like you know immediately whether or not it's what your ego's coming up with or what's arising in consciousness is in alignment with the Father or against the Father.
Entonces, pasándolo por ese filtro, nos va a decir la mente si lo que estamos viendo o lo que estamos pensando viene del Padre o viene del ego.
So it's good to ask Jesus directly, Jesus, is it possible for me to be this clear on what guidance is?
Y podemos preguntarle a Jesús directamente que nos diga si esto que estamos pensando, esto que estamos viendo, proviene de su guía.
See, the ego doesn't want to be that clear. However, you are a powerful light being. And so since that natural voice is your voice, you can be totally clear.
Porque el ego no quiere que nosotros veamos las cosas naturalmente, claramente, para que no nos reconozcamos en la luz y en el poder que somos de manera natural cuando lo aceptamos.
Because when we're saying yes to things that are not guidance, we're saying yes to the ego.
Porque cuando le decimos que no a seguir la guía, le estamos diciendo que sí a seguir al ego.
We're saying, yes, I want to keep guilt. Every time you don't follow guidance, you're saying, yes, I want to keep guilt. I want hell.
Ok, a todo lo que no es seguir la guía es decirle que sí a la culpa y decirle que sí al infierno.
And every time you say yes to guidance, you are saying yes to all the love the Father has for you.
Cada vez que le dices que sí a la guía, le estás diciendo que sí a todo el amor del Padre en ti.
But it takes a lot of following to actually see that, because the ego is going to be going, oh my God, if I follow, I'm going to hell and the world's going to end and an asteroid's going to hit me.
Sí, el ego siempre va a tratar de confundir y decir que si sigues la guía, bueno, es toda una complicación y vas al infierno. Es tratar de confundir.
Okay, and the ego's going to say, go ahead. Are you finished?
Yes, I finished.
Oh, okay. So much love. So the ego is going to try to convince you. It's going to go, Jesus is going to make me do something I don't want to do. It loves that.
El ego va a tratar de convencerte de que Jesús está tratando de que tú hagas algo que tú no quieres hacer.
Well, the I doesn't want to do anything that's going to expose its non-existence.
Can you repeat again, please?
The I doesn't want to do anything that's going to show that it does not exist.
Sí, porque el yo, o sea, el yo, la persona, sencillamente está hablando de algo que en realidad no existe, el yo individual.
But it's incredibly important to convert the ego's language to the truth.
Es importante hacer una conversión del lenguaje del ego hacia la verdad.
So it's going, Jesus is going to make me do something I don't want to do.
Porque él va a tratar de decir que Jesús está tratando de hacer, de que yo haga algo que no deseo hacer. Ay, crazy.
Okay. Jesus says,
Jesús dice,
you don't want to see what I'm going to show you when you do what I ask.
Jesús dice que tú no quieres ver lo que tienes que hacer cuando tú me lo preguntas.
Okay. You're still trying to fight with me. See, when you don't follow guidance, you're trying to fight with me.
Si no sigues mi guía, tú sencillamente estás peleando conmigo.
As a symbol of fighting with yourself and fighting against your true identity.
Es el símbolo o simbólicamente estás peleando contigo mismo porque estás peleando con tu verdadera identidad.
So we have this little guidance worksheet.
Y estamos esta pequeña guía, esta pequeña hoja de esta guía.
And we have to be clear on what not following guidance really is.
Y a través de ella vamos a ver qué es lo que no seguir la guía significa.
It's to push love out of awareness.
Es poner el amor fuera de la conciencia.
You can always know what guidance is.
Tú siempre conoces o sabes cuál es la guía.
If you want to hear it with your whole heart, you'll only hear that.
Si tú realmente lo deseas, puedes escucharlo.
See, there's only one.
Solamente es una.
So if there are two voices going on in there, there's a desire for two, duality.
El deseo de escuchar dos voces es sencillamente el deseo de querer dualidad, de aceptar la dualidad.
Okay. So if you want to only hear this voice, you can hear it because it's your voice, and that's the most powerful voice, the only voice worth hearing.
Si lo deseas, esa es la única voz que vas a escuchar, porque es tu propia voz, la única voz que hay para escuchar.
But see, without following him and everything, he can't show you where this sneaky little voice is all in your subconscious mind.
Si no quieres escuchar esa voz, todas las pequeñas voces que escuches sencillamente provienen de mente subconsciente.
So being clear on guidance is essential.
Can you repeat again?
Being clear on guidance is essential to the atonement.
Okay. Estar bien claros o tener la guía clara es algo esencial para la expiación.
Because it's the way he can quickly take you deep into the mind to see where all the denials of divinity are.
Porque es la manera de poder ir profundamente a tu mente para poder ver las negaciones que estás tratando de ocultar.
And the only way you're going to see these time and space rearrangements.
Y es la única manera de que puedas verlo es ir profundamente y verlas directamente.
It's going to help you see beyond this world that there is something beyond this world that is happiness. There's no loss.
Es ir más allá de este mundo y ver que lo nuestro es la felicidad al final, la felicidad eterna.
So following guidance is accepting miracles.
Seguir la guía es aceptar el milagro.
Because you're saying no to the ego.
Porque decir que no es seguir a ego.
So Jesus says in this worksheet,
Jesús dice en esta hoja de trabajo,
is this the voice for God or the voice to keep the ego?
Escuchar la voz de Dios y no guardar la voz del ego.
So he's saying that to deny following guidance is the same as denying who you are, everything given you by the Father.
Negar la guía es negar quién tú eres y negar que eres el Hijo de Dios.
So this is an important sentence in this worksheet.
Esa es una oración importante en la hoja de trabajo.
If you do not want to know the answer to who you are, you will hide. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, si no quieres escuchar la respuesta acerca de quién tú eres,
you will hide the answer about guidance from yourself.
Tú estás ocultando la respuesta de quién eres realmente.
He says, ask me so that I can reveal the truth to you.
Pregúntame para que te revele la verdad acerca de ti.
So I am checking this. I'm going to open this up. Let's see. Everyone should have the guidance worksheet because we sent it in the group.
¿Alguien tiene la hoja de trabajo y las frases en el grupo?
So I'm just going to open it here.
Puesta sobre la guía. Ask me. Okay, there is a question that can help you to clear guidance. Aquí hay una pregunta que puedes hacer. Yes, I have a worksheet.
Yes, somehow this worksheet didn't print out complete. So somebody, in the chat, there's a question.
Okay.
Oh, can you transfer me to the Spanish section? Well, you should be able to scroll down. I think the Spanish is in with the English.
Yes. I'm follow from Spanish to English. Okay. Do you really want an answer about this question? This is a guidance. You know about the orientation. It's only an expression about a love of you are.
Okay, so first, if you scroll down, for those who speak Spanish, the Spanish, or is it the bottom?
Yes. Si hablas español está al inicio.
Okay. So we'll start with the questions.
Comienza con una pregunta.
Oh, here they are. Found them. Okay. So you want to start with Jesus, of course.
¿Quieres estar con Jesús? Por supuesto.
And you're going to look at the sheet that you wrote down on and ask Jesus which ones of those he wants you to talk to him about.
Busquen en la hoja y pregúntele a Jesús acerca de qué quieren hablar.
So we're going to start with Jesus and ask Jesus for help in order to be clear about guidance.
No, yo voy a comenzar y voy a pedirle a Jesús que nos dé claridad por la guía.
So if you hear any twitches coming up, you can ask Jesus for release any desire not to hear and follow the guidance given by Jesus.
Si escuchan algún tropiezo, algo que no, alguna dificultad, pregúntenle a Jesús que les guíe acerca de cómo poder aclarar esto.
Now, joining at night is good in groups, but it's also valuable to do these exercises with one-on-one with your brother.
Ok, hacerlo en las noches en el grupo es bueno, pero también es muy útil hacerlo con tu hermano, con tu compañero.
So that if something comes up, some great idea that comes up in consciousness for you to do, you can join to get clarity to ask Jesus, this is truly in guidance.
Si viene algo a tu conciencia, es muy útil el que te unas y puedas con tu hermano ver eso de manera guiada, con la guía de Jesús.
Now, at first you might think, gosh, look at all these questions. This could take a long time.
Y tenemos entonces que hacer las preguntas durante cierto tiempo.
But when your mind, as he clears out and you follow him enough, it's like this. You yes, no to everything.
Cuando tu mente se aclara, puedes entonces seguirlo y así puedes hacer con todo.
But it's really those protected areas where we don't want to hear him. That's the problem.
Y entonces estás tratando de proteger ciertas áreas cuando no quieres escucharlo.
So another good thing to do, if you think he's telling you something you do not think you want to do, or you feel a twitch on, then you join with a brother to get clear on it.
Y can you repeat again, please,
So
Kai?
if something comes up that you think you're going to do, or that's guidance, and you're kind of resistant to it, it's good to join with a brother to get the clarity and and release any desires not to follow guidance.
Ok, si tienes alguna duda, alguna resistencia, te puedes unir con tu hermano para que puedas clarificar este deseo de resistencia de seguir la guía.
So ask Jesus which of those things, ideally you would do this with everything on that piece of paper.
Preguntémosle a Jesús qué debemos hacer o cómo, o sea, el trabajar con este pedazo de papel, con esta hoja de trabajo.
Okay. So first we'll ask him,
Primeramente, preguntémosle.
okay, this is a little bit different, but first you're going to ask him, okay, Jesus, is there anything on this sheet that is in guidance, where I heard guidance?
Ok, lo primero que le vamos a preguntar, Jesús, ¿hay en esta hoja de trabajo algo que no sea consistente con la guía?
Okay. And is
Ok.
there anything on the sheet? So you basically go down and you ask them each thing, and is anything on the sheet not in guidance?
Preguntemos si hay algo en esta hoja de trabajo que no, o sea, que no esté siguiendo tu guía, que no sea bajo la guía.
This is where honesty of God is so important.
Eso en la honestidad de Dios es algo muy importante.
Okay. But you'll see that after a while, when you get used to following yes, no, he tells you, I'd ask him for a cookie and he'd say, no, I just laugh because I knew he's always right.
Cuando a través de la guía puedas escuchar entonces la respuesta de que no, te darás cuenta que todo está listo y te vas a reír acerca de eso.
So it's important to emphasize here, I will make no decisions by myself.
Algo muy importante en este ejercicio, no hacer nada por nuestra cuenta.
So the Spirit is not distinguishing between big decisions and little. Every decision we want to be able to go yes or no with Jesus.
Ok, el espíritu no hace diferencia entre grandes o pequeñas decisiones, sencillamente es hacer todo lo que tengamos que hacer con Jesús.
So just be honesty of God and ask him, was this in guidance? Or for each one, or was it in guidance or not in guidance? And just be neutral. Don't judge it. You're not getting beat up by God for this. You were learning. You're a happy learner.
Ok, nosotros somos unos aprendices felices y no tenemos que juzgar, sencillamente tenemos que preguntar y estar dispuestos a seguir la guía.
Now.
Ahora. Right now, yes. Ahora, justamente
Okay.
ahora.
You want to ask him, because here's the interesting thing. We'll write down all kinds of things on that paper, but you want to ask him, Jesus, are there any guidance you have been giving me that I do not want to hear and I didn't write on this piece of paper?
Ay, tenemos entonces que preguntarle a Jesús, Jesús, ¿hay algo que yo no quiero escuchar, no quiero ver de esta hoja de papel? Preguntar en la honestidad de Dios.
What is an assignment that you gave me that I just kind of put out of my mind?
¿Cuál es la asignación que tú quieres que coloque en mi mente?
And did something else.
Y alguna otra cosa.
Okay. So this is so helpful, this review of what I had so many good conversations with Jesus about stuff was in my past. And I just ask him now, is that in guidance? And I get yes, no. And I just laugh now because he's always right.
Eso es lo útil de preguntar bajo la guía de Jesús, si hay algo en nuestro presente o en nuestro pasado, siguiendo la guía de lo que hay en esta hoja de trabajo.
But we also need to see where we're blocking things that he's trying to tell us.
También es importante que podamos los bloqueos que hay para poder para que podamos verlo y Él nos pueda decir, Él nos
I
lo pueda
can,
decir.
it cannot be overemphasized the number of things that we can do that look spiritual that are not in guidance.
Y tenemos que Él nos permita ver qué es lo que no está en conexión con lo espiritual y fuera de la guía.
So it's good to even confirm that joining tonight, is this in guidance?
Y es importante que confirmemos que la unión que estamos llevando a cabo está haciéndose bajo la guía de Jesús.
Jesus, are there any times I avoided joining today when I could have looked at things? Was I avoiding joining with my brother to release any kind of twitches?
Y preguntarle a Jesús si estamos evitando el unirnos con nuestros hermanos, si estamos utilizando algún obstáculo para no unirnos y no reconocer y no aceptar la guía.
Okay. So that's it. It's just a simple conversation. You just take down notes. You just notice.
Ok, es sencillamente una conversación donde puedes notarlo. Es sencillamente una conversación con Jesús.
It is really ideal to do this every night, actually, before you go to bed.
Eso es algo que puedes hacer todas las noches antes de ir a la cama.
Again, after a while, when you don't want something other than God, you can't even not follow guidance anymore because you don't desire anything other than following God.
Si no quieres seguir la guía, el no unirte es sencillamente que no quieres seguir la guía.
But for a while, it's really important to have these kinds of joinings, to have direct conversations with Jesus about what you're following and what you're not, where you're not following.
Y es importante el ser honesto con nosotros mismos y preguntarle a Jesús por qué no querríamos hacer o unirnos con nuestros hermanos para seguir su guía. O sea, para seguirle,
So
aceptar
then
su guía.
now we're going to test the things for the upcoming week that you think you're going to be doing.
Bueno, y ahora aplicaríamos el test acerca de lo que haríamos, de lo que estamos haciendo.
And you're going to have him ask him which one you should look at right now. You should look at all of them, but which one to look at right now.
Y le va a poder preguntar lo que estamos viendo, que estamos buscando ahora, justo en este momento.
Jesus, here's my big plan for this week.
Jesús, ¿cuál es mi gran plan de esta semana?
It could be anything, it can be somebody visiting, it can be going to lunch with somebody, it can be all kinds of things that you thought, oh, this is going to be a great idea.
Ok, entonces, bueno, podemos visitar a alguien, vamos a hacer algo, bueno, es una gran idea.
So the first thing you're going to ask about whatever he's telling you to look at is, Jesus, is this most helpful for healing my mind?
Lo primero que tenemos que hacer es preguntarle a Jesús de lo que vayamos a hacer, si esto es útil para sanar mi mente.
Is this, whatever I think that I'm going to be doing, is this most helpful for healing my mind, yes or no?
Lo primero que tenemos que hacer si es útil para sanar nuestra mente, sí o no. Cualquier cosa que vayamos a hacer.
Then we're at number 3 here.
El número 3 aquí.
If you don't feel like you're 100% clear yet.
Si no está seguro el 100% aún.
Okay. Is saying no to this idea most helpful for healing the mind? So if I don't do this, is this more healing of the mind?
Si te dice que no, esa idea no es para sanar la mente ni ayudar al ser divino.
So this way, every seemingly brilliant idea we think we're having about something to do, we can test it whether it is most helpful for healing the mind.
lo que tenemos que hacer es que cualquier idea que venga a nuestra mente, pasarlo por el test, por este test, si es para sanar nuestra mente.
Now the ego can get all whacked out about it, and going, but I've been, it goes into a big story.
Sí, porque el ego siempre quiere contarnos una gran historia.
But it's just in this moment right now, maybe in a week or 3 weeks, it's fine. But right now, see, we have to give him control of time and space.
Ok, pueda que en 1 o 2 semanas esté bien, pero quizás ahora no. Entonces, porque el ego quiere siempre sencillamente estar en control.
And like it says in A Course in Miracles, this is the development of trust.
Y en el curso de milagros, este es el desarrollo de trash.
Confianza.
Confianza.
Confianza. Gracias, muchas gracias. Thank you.
Maria.
Confianza. Sí,
So,
este es el desarrollo de la confianza.
and it has to be our highest, healing mind has to be the highest priority in order for the atonement.
Eso es una de las prioridades de la expiación, la confianza.
So then if this is my favorite question. One of my favorite questions, number 4, I do another test.
Y la número 4 es mi pregunta favorita. Es otra prueba.
Is accepting this idea that's coming in for something to do, is this accepting all the love the Father has for me?
Jesús, aceptar seguir esto, la idea que viene a la mente, es lo mismo que aceptar todo el amor que el Padre tiene por mí.
Because when we say yes to a prompt, and you'll have a direct experience of this if you follow enough of these prompts, you'll see it for yourself.
Can you repeat again, please? I'm sorry again.
Following what Jesus tells you to do is accepting all the love of the Father.
Seguir la guía de Jesús es aceptar todo el amor del Padre.
And it's saying no to the ego.
Y decirle que no al ego.
So the real test of whether something's in guidance is whether it is for healing the mind, and anything for healing the mind is saying, is accepting the love of the Father.
Para sanar la mente, sencillamente es aceptar el amor del Padre.
Or you can, on the other side, is following this idea, like doing whatever I'm hearing, is that a denial of the love of the Father?
Hacer cualquier cosa contraria es sencillamente negar el amor del Padre.
And being really honest about it.
Y tenemos que ser realmente honestos acerca de esto.
And then sticking to it. If you hear it's accepting the love of the Father, then you're going to go for it.
Y si escuchas aceptar el amor del Padre, tienes que ir por ello.
Okay, but what happens is so many beings will go, yes, I can see this is yes to this, accepting the love of the Father.
¿Y qué hacemos entonces? Si decimos, escuchamos sí, seguir el amor del Padre.
And then a week later, they haven't taken any action on it.
Y una semana después hay una acción o un acto referente a esto.
And that is how the ego keeps time.
Y así es como el ego toma o roba tu tiempo.
So when you're really going deep into the mind and you really want to hear what guidance is, you'll get to the point in one of these circles where everyone will ask these questions about something that you think you're going to be doing, you want to do.
Cuando vas a estos círculos, pues es así como puedes mirar profundamente y puedes ver qué es y cómo lo puedes hacer, haciéndolo a través de los círculos.
It's so beautiful. You'll be willing to hear because your brother's going to hear it as the mind gets clear. The guidance is for the whole, so everyone who hears Jesus can hear this.
Todos podemos escuchar la voz de Jesús y en estas uniones podemos hacerlo desde la unidad y seguir la guía de Jesús.
This is not a democratic vote kind of thing.
Esto no es algo, un voto democrático, ese tipo de cosas como un voto democrático.
Okay, and it's very different. Or the ego will go, well, everybody's voting against me, you know.
Es muy diferente con el ego, que todo el ego que hay que hacer que él gane.
Okay, but it is really trusting that it's whatever's guidance is not for a person, it's for the healing of the mind, the whole.
Can you repeat again, please?
Guidance is for the whole. It can be heard by everyone because it's for the whole.
Ok, la guía es para todos, para la unidad, porque la sanación es para todos, para toda la unidad.
Now, the
para la
ego,
totalidad ahora.
the ego is going to hunt for beings to join with, to tell it what it wants to hear.
Ajá. El ego está a la casa acerca de lo que él no quiere escuchar.
So if you want to really follow guidance, you're going to find somebody to join with. Jesus is going to give you to someone to join with who's uncompromising about following guidance.
Si queremos seguir la guía, entonces vamos a buscar unirnos con alguien para poder escucharle y seguirle.
You'll see how much you like fear joining to look that deeply.
Y puedes ver y puedes sentir que a través de esta unión puedes ir muy profundo.
But you'll see the comfort and the love that comes from this, trusting your brother.
Y puedes ver la confrontación que puede estar en esto si confías en tu hermano.
So again, look at this idea that you have for the next week and you do the test on it. Another test, number 5.
Ok, vamos entonces por el número 5.
Okay, you can say, okay, Jesus, whatever this is that I think I'm wanting to do, or I'm hearing, I think it's guidance from you.
Preguntamos a Jesús, esto que estoy escuchando, viene de ti, es algo que viene de tu guía.
If I do not follow this guidance, is this an attempt to delay the atonement?
El no seguir la guía o no querer seguir esta guía es sencillamente demorar la expiación.
Or if I say no to this, is this saying yes to the atonement?
Y si decimos que no al ego, entonces estamos diciendo que sí a la expiación.
Because sometimes we have to learn that we're saying yes to all kinds of things that are being proposed to us that are used to delay seeing the truth of identity, to make people happy.
Y a veces entonces tenemos, can you repeat again, please?
So the ego is always using the excuse that someone's going to be upset if I do something.
Ok, el ego siempre está buscando la excusa de que estemos mal para que hagamos algo.
You have to go inside and see if what you're choosing to do is going to delay the atonement or it's saying yes, the atonement.
Y lo que tienes que hacer es ir profundo y decirle que sí a la expiación o demorar a la expiación. Eso es todo lo que sucede.
So you really have to start seeing how this choice to follow or not following guidance is the way the ego keeps the delusion going.
Entonces tienes que pensar en que el único camino es o aceptar, seguir y aceptar la expiación o sencillamente demorar la expiación al no hacer lo que tienes que hacer.
And then if you're hearing yes, it's, accepting this guidance is accepting the love of the Father.
Y si dices que sí, en realidad estás aceptando el amor del Padre.
But you feel some kind of resistance or tightening to that.
Y si dices, pueda que tengas alguna resistencia a aceptar esto.
Okay. Then you see that it's really important to join with a brother then to look at the underlying desire to avoid the guidance. See, that's all guidance is for. It's to look deeply in the mind and see where we're avoiding divinity.
Es importante que te unas con tu hermano para mirar en la línea del tiempo y puedas en esta unión conocerte en tu verdadera identidad.
So that's all these questions are. You can sit down with the worksheet by yourself and work through it.
Ok, eso es todo lo que tienes que hacer, sentarte con esta hoja de trabajo y hacerlo todo a través de ella.
But the real power is going to come in on when you're actually working the worksheet and then joining with your brother to go, what are you hearing?
El verdadero poder que hay al trabajar con esta hoja de trabajo y unirte con tu hermano es, o sea, el poder que tienes de poder escuchar la voz.
So the question is not only am I willing to hear the guidance, but am I willing to clear any objections to the guidance?
Y entonces está la disposición, voluntad de escuchar la voz y el deseo de objetar o dejar claramente esa voz.
Okay, just a minute. It's not lighting. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah. The computer is just about out of charge. Okay. So that it's really a commitment. This joining is a commitment to yourself and seeing what's true.
Esta unidad, esta unión es sencillamente comprometerte contigo mismo hacia de lo que es verdad.
And to really tune in, and you're going to hear better when you're with a brother.
Y puedes escuchar mejor cuando te unes con tu hermano.
You know, until you're willing to, you don't have to do any of that if you're willing to say just no to the ego and just really be dedicated to following in the moment.
Es no hacerle caso al ego y sencillamente seguirle en el momento.
And I've
seguir la
talked
guía.
about it. I've talked about
Hemos hablado acerca de eso.
how many times like he'd say, okay, get in this boat and go to that island. You know, I didn't want to do that. I mean, I could feel the resistance to it.
¿Cuántas veces nos ha sucedido que escuchamos y sencillamente decimos que no queremos hacer eso?
But the legions of time and space rearrangements can hardly be even spoken about from that.
Can you repeat again, please?
The time and space rearrangements that have come from that are unspeakable.
Ok, en el tiempo, en el espacio, eso es algo de lo cual se menciona o se habla, es conversable.
But you don't get to experience that until you say yes first and trust yourself.
Porque es tu experiencia, no es tu experiencia el decir que sí y el no querer reconocerte a ti mismo.
And then step out into the places where it feels uncomfortable at first, but you're going to see that is really the way to have him help you heal your mind.
Y cuando te sientes incómodo es la manera en que tienes que ver si quieres sanar tu mente.
I'm talking to him right now about guidance.
Estoy hablando en este momento bajo la guía.
Okay, and it's, you know, it's wonderful that there are beings that have been devoted many years to Course in Miracles.
Y he estado desde hace varios años conversando, hablando acerca del curso de milagros.
But Jesus does not, it does not take 30 years to heal the mind.
Pero Jesús no se toma muchos años para sanar la mente.
Okay, it's if it's only happening because it's not 100% listening and following. See, that's what takes so long. That's what drags it out.
Y sucede porque no estamos siguiendo 100% la guía de manera natural. Es solo eso.
So does anyone have anything they'd like to share or like to get clarity on in the guidance?
Can you repeat, please, Kai?
So all of you have had an opportunity to look at some of the things on your list that you did or were wanting to do. Does anyone have any insights from Jesus on some of the things they have on their list?
Cada uno de nosotros tiene la posibilidad de poder ver y de poder preguntar con Jesús si hay algo que queremos ver o queremos hacer.
Is anyone willing to share?
¿Hay alguien que quiera compartir?
That includes.
I don't have the resistance I did to following Jesus's guidance when we started.
Yo tengo resistencia de seguir la guía de Jesús. Quiero comenzar.
So is there anything on the list that he talked to you about, Deb, or?
¿Hay alguien más que quiera hablar acerca de eso o?
That I can trust him.
¿Puedo confiar?
That it was all, it just all evaporated. It was just that it was all my ego. All that stuff that was going on was my ego. It's caught up in ego translation.
Es la traducción del ego.
So did he show you some specific, so wherever we can, we want to get really specific. So did he show you anything specific that you did in the past that was out of guidance or?
Well, mine was just to be guided is what I wrote down. I wasn't specific. And to break those barriers of having, and I hear him at one level, but I also, there was a point in my life where I felt I heard him really clear and it scared me. I said, just show me what to do. Don't tell me about it. And
he estado a algunos niveles de mi vida donde lo escuchaba claramente y hay un momento en que ya paró y ya.
And now that's just disappeared. That's not.
Y ahora desapareció.
It's just not, it's vapor. It's,
no lo siento.
It's silliness. It was the ego screwing with me, messing with me.
Y el ego está allí.
So it's helpful to see the barriers falling away, and wherever possible in these joining sessions, if there's what we want to do too is be as specific as we can so we can fine tune the hearing and the following. Just like looking at desires, we're fine tuning the listening and the following.
Tenemos que pedir y buscar ser específicos para la guía a seguir. Debemos especificar.
So did anyone hear anything specific in there? Write down anything specific and then hear from Jesus on it.
¿Alguien escucha algo más específico acerca de la guía de Jesús?
Okay, Janice, do you want? Okay.
I don't know if this is specific for me, but as I was writing these down prior to the joining, because I knew we were doing this, I had written my list, and immediately I asked, and he said, what have you not written down? And I had not written down that I wake up every morning and join with him and spend time with them. And I had not written down about the joining with Kay in the mornings and the evenings. And he was just showing me how I put the priority first of all the chores and body stuff. And then he just said, put God first, and everything will follow from this. So put me first.
Ella está hablando acerca de las uniones con Guy mañana y noche, y entonces ella lo que escuchó fue que se le dijo que colocara a Dios en primer lugar. Coloca a Dios en primer lugar. Yes, God first.
But that's a good thing too for him to even tell you, because we'll block out those things that are most important in guidance that we are doing.
Eso es importante, eso que se te dijo acerca de la respuesta en ese bloqueo que sentías.
So was there anything on your list that he says was not helpful?
Sorry, go. Sorry.
¿Hay algo que más pudiera, o sea, que estabas escuchando que pudiera ser útil?
And this is where I'm really having to go more deeper into hearing his voice when it comes to, especially I don't know why, there's a lot of resistance when I'm in a group. I know that. I feel a lot of resistance when I'm on to do this at that in the moment. But what I hear is always when I'm just relaxing and receptive to his voice, and the answer always comes in. So sometimes I will go through this again with him and I will hear it clearer. But right now in real time, I get blocked.
Yeah.
Okay. Ella habla acerca de que ella tiene resistencia a escuchar la voz cuando está en los grupos, pero que cuando se calma y se permite desde la paz, puede entonces retomar y escuchar la voz.
So this is really going to be deep, because if those that are committed to doing this, you'll see really quickly how quickly the ego is going to block not looking this specifically with Jesus.
Hay que ir profundamente porque el ego siempre va a tratar de bloquear lo que queramos hacer, y hay que ir profundamente inmediatamente con Jesús.
So it's really good. She's seeing the resistance, but then we have to really start being absolutely dedicated so that everything we're doing is in alignment with all the love that we are.
Es bueno lo que ella está haciendo, y de mirarlo y de buscarlo y hacerlo a través de Jesús, porque eso es todo lo que realmente somos.
Now, Fran, I see that you have your hand raised. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
This is new to me, and I'm dancing and running backwards all at the same time. I want it, but I'm terrified all at the same time. I think it's kind of a mechanical question I have. Is it possible, and I'm asking the group, not Jesus, because Jesus is here. I need some real clarity, so I'm asking. Is there an expectation that, for instance, I mean, right now I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got to ask him if I can go to the bathroom practically. I mean, that's what's coming up. And yet there's such a part of me that this struggle between wanting to be rescued, like the ego thing, but also wanting to be able to fall into that vastness of love. And it gets confusing. Wow. I don't know why the tears are coming, but is it possible, as I commit 100% to asking, and I go through these questions, they're very powerful and they're useful, that on any given day, he might say yes to one activity that he may say no to on another day?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Ok, ella dice que es su primera vez, don't worry. Ok, ella dice que es su primera vez en estos grupos y entonces ella está preguntando, y está aterrorizada, tiene muchos nervios, y ella pregunta si es posible que en alguna ocasión, a pesar de estar comprometida, ella pueda decir que sí en algún momento y luego decir que no. Entonces Kai estaba diciendo, Kai, your turn.
Okay. No, these are such good things you're talking about because it's just a readjustment to, instead of following the ego thought system, we're going straight up to the celebration.
Ok, esa es una buena manera de lo que estás expresando, porque el ego va a traer de que nosotros nos distraigamos y detengamos la celebración. Al decir que sí, luego creer o hacernos creer que estamos diciendo que no. Es una distracción del ego.
So it's really learning his timing and that he knows what's most helpful for healing the mind.
Y es muy sanador que él está utilizando el tiempo para sanar nuestra mente.
And it seems like, well, what the heck? I got to ask when I'm going to the bathroom now.
Y podemos preguntarle a él si podemos y vamos al baño ahora.
But it's just a symbol that you can ask him that too. You know,
Pero
he's
eso es
gonna know.
sencillamente un símbolo. Le puedes
You know,
preguntar
like-
también.
It's just a symbol that the whole door is open for helpfulness wherever we're willing to accept it.
Es sencillamente un símbolo y es nuestra voluntad aceptarla.
So,
I just got this. I just want to say this so it anchors some. You said you made a statement about something about it's important to convert the ego's language to the truth. And I think Jesus just told me, you know, that thing you're worried about this paradox between being rescued, like the ego not being responsible for the personal world or the collective world I've miscreated. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can fall into my arms and in your words, you will be rescued. You are rescued.
Ok, el ego a veces parece decirle que no tiene nada que ver con con el mundo y el rescate, pero que dice que Dios, que ya está en manos de Dios y que desea ser rescatada, algo así, something like this. Okay.
that's beautiful. But see, we don't know what that means. I mean, it's a beautiful symbol. And so the following is the only way we truly find out what that means.
Eso es es algo muy hermoso, porque eso es sencillamente lo que la guía, el seguir la guía significa.
Like we're acting like following our own advice for a whole life has been a really good deal, you know?
Sí, sabemos que lo único bueno que podemos hacer o el único día que podemos hacer es seguir la guía. Eso es lo beneficioso que podemos hacer.
Like we forget it's been a real train wreck, you know, and wouldn't it be good? Maybe he has a few good ideas for us.
Sí, o sea, olvidamos que lo que tenemos que hacer es seguir la guía, eso es todo.
And like Dr. Phil says, how's that working for you?
How's that working for
Estoy
you?
trabajando, sí, estoy trabajando en eso.
But, you know, we'll insist, no, we got a better plan than God's plan. And we don't even see that play where
Sí, la voluntad de Dios y eso es lo que tenemos que hacer, la vía.
But you'll find that there is such a reason why I said, I will make no decisions on my own because we've done such a bad job.
Sí, no tomar ninguna decisión por nuestra cuenta. Eso es lo que tenemos que hacer. No
So
hacer nada por nuestra cuenta.
So and the last thing the ego wants to do is gather like this and have what it's doing examined to see if it's guidance. I mean, it would rather run and hide under a couch.
Sí, lo que el ego quiere es que nosotros hagamos las cosas fuera de la guía. Eso es lo menos que él quiere, que nosotros sigamos la guía.
But you'll see the strength that you'll discover how you're a powerful infinite being that need fear nothing.
Y ante la divinidad del ser, todo eso significa en realidad nada. Esa es la fuerza y la fortaleza del ser divino.
You know, the only thing the ego fears is seeing that it doesn't exist.
La única cosa que el ego teme es comprobar que no existe.
So yeah, we definitely need to be disciplined in the mind in this way and be willing to be this level of discipline if God is our number one goal.
Ok, lo que tenemos que hacer es disciplinar nuestra mente. Eso es todo lo que tenemos que hacer, porque Dios sencillamente es nuestra única meta.
So here Lena's going to share. She was talking to Jesus. So let's hear what she says. Thank you, Lena.
Exacto.
Hola a todos. Bueno, yo lo que quiero compartir
Hello, everybody. I want to share.
es que he tenido que sanar mucho la mente para poder seguir la guía.
I have been healing a lot my mind in order to follow the guidance.
Mirar continuamente con mucho compromiso la mente.
Looking every time in order to heal my mind.
Porque yo todavía recuerdo como no quería a Jesús.
Because I still remember that I didn't love Jesus.
Cómo sentía que Jesús era un intruso en mi mente.
I felt Jesus was a stranger in my mind.
Y cómo todo eso se ha venido limpiando para poderme abrir a la guía.
And this is cleaning in order to open my mind to the guidance.
So Lena, can you share a specific example of what Jesus showed you?
Okay.
You know, of where you were following and where you are not following?
Lina, ¿puedes compartir algo específico acerca de de tu experiencia de cuando has seguido y cuando no has seguido la guía?
Bueno, una de las veces que no seguí la guía y hice lo que quise de parte del ego.
Well, once I did something like to the ego way.
Lo único que recibí fue un bombardeo por todos lados del ego.
Oh my goodness. All that I received, it was a fight from the ego.
Y es que yo he llegado a la conclusión de que Jesús quiere sacarme de mi zona de confort y del mundo.
Okay. Jesus wants that I go out to my comfort area and in the world.
So what we're looking for, so in these sessions, what we want to do is refer back to the list that we wrote down about the activities from the past week or activities in the future, and hear and then share, okay, this is what Jesus is telling me about. These are in guidance and these are not in guidance.
Okay. Lo que Jesús me está mostrando es que vamos a hacer una lista y vamos a hacer las cosas del pasado y las cosas que nos pudiéramos tener inquietud acerca del futuro. Y entonces cuando veamos esa lista podamos decir, esto está bajo la guía, esto no está siendo guiado. O sea, esto no se está haciendo bajo la guía.
So is there anything that he talked to you about, you know, that was in guidance that happened this week and what was out of guidance?
¿Puedes decir algo al respecto de lo que fue hecho bajo guía o no guía? ¿Tienes algún ejemplo?
Mm. Bueno, una vez contesté el teléfono sin preguntar, sin hacer la guía.
Oh, well, sometimes I answered the telephone without guidance.
Y cuando
qué pasó?
recibí la llamada, inmediatamente sentí que eso no era para mí. Sentí como todo eso que me estaba depositando la persona era pura basura.
Okay, and when she listened about the conversation of the person that was talking about, he put her trash in her mind. That is right. Leandro, can you understand this guy? Yeah.
Y ahí comprendí que continuamente tengo que preguntar. Hasta contestar una llamada es útil para sanar la mente.
I understood in that moment that I must answer everything before to the guy, to Jesus, looking for guidance.
En algo tan sencillo se puede decir.
So we'll do a check-in. Like today, Lena did the shopping for the community. Was that in guidance?
Lina fue hoy de compras en la comunidad. ¿Eso estuvo bajo la guía?
Now, when I asked Jesus about that, she stayed in guidance on that the whole time.
Cuando le pregunté a Jesús, él dijo que sí, que eso estaba bajo la guía.
Okay, so we have to see when we were in guidance, and it's like I told the story, like I had been shopping for the community and bought like 100 things or put 100 things in my cart.
Ok, cuando lo haces bajo la guía, en este caso de lo que sucedió, se puede colocar cientos de cosas en el carro.
And then, but I said, Jesus, have I been following your guidance?
Y le pregunto a Jesús, Jesús, ¿estoy siguiendo tu guía?
And he told me that chicken you picked out is not in guidance.
Y puedes chequear, míralo allí, chequea y ve si está bajo la guía.
But when we're willing to take the chicken out of our cart because it's not in guidance, you see, we're free.
Y cuando chequeamos el carro y nos damos cuenta acerca de lo que estamos comprando y es nuestra voluntad, nos damos cuenta que no es que lo hemos hecho de manera libre, o sea, sin consultar.
Because celebration of divinity is 100% guidance.
Porque la celebración de la divinidad es seguir la guía 100%.
But we have to be equally happy of seeing when we're in guidance and equally happy to see when we're out of guidance, because then he can show us where we're denying ourselves divinity.
Ok, y debemos estar felices cuando reconocemos que estamos en la guía y no estamos en la guía, porque eso nos permite ver que estamos reconociendo nuestra divinidad. No hay razón para perder. Thank you for that word, Sky. This is so important, apparently, for me. Thanks for that. Gracias por eso. Eso que acaba de decir Kai, de que reconocer que estamos bajo la guía o no, no nos quita nuestra felicidad. Sencillamente nos hace conscientes de que no somos seres divinos. Yeah.
So this is the group we want to be in so that we can be free to say, oh, I learned that I was out of guidance on that. You see, we want to, because it's an opportunity.
Estar en estos grupos es una oportunidad de aprender y reconocernos a seguir la guía. Es una oportunidad de aprender.
It's, you know, I use the example, you're flying a plane, you don't even know how to fly a plane, but somehow you're sitting and flying a plane between Chicago and San Francisco.
Ajá, ya está colocando un ejemplo acerca del vuelo de Chicago a San Francisco.
Okay, gracias, Lena.
Gracias.
And so when the control tower comes and says, look, you got to go a little bit to the left.
Ajá, y puedes llevar algunas cosas. Ajá, la gente de control de aduana.
The pilot doesn't get in a fight with the control tower. It's a little course correction.
Ajá, el piloto es el que lleva el control y lleva a través del control de mando y un pequeño movimiento hace el cambio de la dirección del avión.
You want to get happy when he's showing you you're out of guidance, because then you can learn something. He can teach you something.
Debes estar feliz cuando estás siguiendo la guía porque está sucediendo algo.
You know, like Lena seeing that making that phone call was out of guidance. We have to be that clear.
Ella cuando contestó el teléfono, ella se dio cuenta de que lo había hecho fuera de la guía.
See, the happiness comes from the clarity.
Y la felicidad viene de la claridad.
Because when we don't follow, we're keeping the ego, we're keeping guilt, we're keeping suffering.
Sí, porque entonces no estamos agarrándonos del ego, agarrándonos del sufrimiento, porque tenemos claridad.
So we need him to coach us every single place where we're keeping guilt and suffering.
Y tenemos que estar conscientes que eso es donde tenemos culpa y donde tenemos sufrimiento.
So does anyone else want to share what Jesus showed them about where they're following guidance and where they're not following guidance?
¿Alguien más quiere compartir acerca de en alguna oportunidad cuando ha seguido o no ha seguido la guía?
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Good night.
Bueno, quiero sincerarme con Jesús.
I want to be honest with Jesus.
Y es que en ocasiones yo he sentido que esto es del ego. Y es que
Okay, sometimes I felt, and I know that this is from the ego.
Y es que he creído que esto es como un cuento de pajaritas premiadas y que pierdo el tiempo al preguntar.
Okay, I thought that this is a fairy story to ask Jesus. Continúa, María.
Venga, a ver, enlazo. Y digo, Jesús solo quiere entrometerse en mi vida, pero no me quiere ayudar.
And I told Jesus that doesn't want to help me. He only wants that I didn't do all that I want to do. Ok, continúa, María.
Entonces siento que no, o sea, que solamente él quiere entrometerse, pero no me quiere ayudar. Y en otras ocasiones, cuando me dispongo, escucho muy fácil la guía, pero sobre todo cuando no son cosas como tan personales.
Okay. Sometimes when she's willing to hear the voice, she can hear the voice. but with impersonal things, not with personal.
Bueno, y sigo siendo estudiante, pero siendo una estudiante rebelde, lo confieso.
Okay, and she's a still student, but she's not a good one.
Gracias. Eso era lo que
Thank
quería
you.
compartir. Gracias.
So we're
Thank you.
all,
That's
gracias. So we're all seeing how important it is to not be selective in the hearing and to get specific.
okay. Lo importante es no ser selectivo, pero sí específico.
And sometimes you're going to be asked to do something that is not comfortable to the ego.
Ajá, y algunas cosas, algunas veces vas a estar preguntando por cosas que no son cómodas para el ego.
And the ego is going to get really upset and really mad.
El ego va a estar muy incómodo y muy loco.
But you must stand into that because that's just a form of self-delusion.
Y tienes que mantenerte firme porque sencillamente es una ilusión.
So what we're really talking about here is the deepest level of self-honesty, of honesty of God.
De escuchar, lo que estamos haciendo aquí de escuchar es bajo la honestidad de Dios, escuchar profundamente
This is
acerca del deseo.
it is the deepest teaching of the course.
Es la enseñanza profunda del curso.
It's why the course is taking so many years, is because you have to be deeply willing to get this specific with Jesus about your activities every week.
Por eso es que esa es la enseñanza del curso a través del tiempo, porque es ir profundo con las enseñanzas de Jesús todas las semanas.
And that you're saying no to the ego when it's objecting to following the Holy Spirit.
Y el ego va a rechazar seguir el Espíritu Santo.
So is there anyone else that looked at with Jesus what they did over the last week and what they're planning to do forward, and heard anything about the guidance following or not being willing to follow?
¿Hay alguien más que tenga algo que compartir acerca de lo que escucha la semana, o sea, del tiempo pasado y de lo que es hacia el futuro de siguiendo la guía y no siguiendo la guía?
Yes, I looked at one thing, one entry for next week.
Ajá. Ella tiene algo para la semana que viene.
And it was a doctor's visit, and there was some fear around it. And I asked him if, let's see, what question was it? I asked him if this, I'm forgetting which question it was, if this was for
Most helpful for healing the mind?
If this was, yes, for healing the mind. It was something to which you answered, well, it could be or it could not be. But you need to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
ella tiene una visita la semana que viene con el médico y tenía algo de temor. Y entonces le preguntó a Jesús si eso era algo para sanar la mente. Entonces, bueno, le dijo que sí.
So do you feel willing to explore that one deeply and see what he's saying?
Y fuiste profundo para escuchar lo que él te dice.
I'm sure I will explore it over the coming days.
Estuve explorando y buscando durante días.
And I definitely will go.
Because we can look now.
Y él le dijo que definitivamente fuera.
You want to look now?
If you
Y
feel
puedes
it,
hacerlo y
we can
mirar
look
ahora.
now.
Si lo sientes, puedes mirarlo ahora.
All right.
Okay, so we're all going to really listen deeply now.
Ok, miremos todo profundamente ahora.
Okay. And so it's not personal. Whatever is being said, it's not personal. It's for healing the mind so we can all be really clear. Is this most helpful for healing the mind?
No es algo personal, esto es algo para sanar la mente.
So it's for everyone. See, if somebody asks me something, okay, is Jesus saying that? Or, you know, is this in guidance? Something they think they're going to do?
No es algo personal, cualquiera puede preguntar y le decimos a Jesús, ¿esto es algo que debo hacer?
When I'm saying yes or no, I'm not saying it for them. I'm saying it for me because it's what he's telling me to say. It's for me.
Y cuando estoy diciendo que sí o no, eso lo estoy diciendo para mí.
Yet because it comes out of wholeness, it serves the whole. Its happiness is serving the whole.
Porque el concepto de la unidad es la felicidad para la unidad.
Okay. So that's why I just, if it feels in purpose, I ask Jesus, is this purpose for, so Nancy's, you know, for me to look with Nancy at this, to see what Jesus is saying, is what she's hearing about the doctor, is she to go see the doctor? And is that the expression of all the love of the Father for her to go?
Es cuestión de preguntarle a Jesús y a medida de que le hacemos esa pregunta y esperamos su respuesta, es observar en ello todo el amor del Padre.
Because also is there's a time component as well, as someone mentioned, it can be a timing thing as well.
Porque el tiempo está compuesto al parecer de eso y el tomar tiempo parece que también puede funcionar.
So you know, you want to go to Jesus and you can hear it for anyone. You want to get to the point where you can hear it. You're not judging anyone. Sometimes you don't say anything, but it's for you to hear it.
Puedes escuchar y no tienes por qué hacer ningún juicio en cualquier momento.
And then learn from this example.
Y aprender acerca de ese ejemplo.
Okay.
¿Está bien?
Jesus is going to this appointment next week, accepting all the love the Father has for me, yes or no?
Jesús, ir a esa cita con el doctor la semana que viene, ¿expresa el amor del Padre en mí? ¿Sí
It's not-
o no?
Yeah. So you want to go inside very deeply with Jesus. You got to suspend all your ideas about doctors, all ideas about being sick, everything, and just be totally neutral and let him tell you.
Tienes que ir profundamente dentro de ti, olvidando todas esas ideas que puedas tener acerca del doctor y profundamente escuchar la respuesta.
See, just like we practice in movies going, is this in guidance or in that guidance, yes or no? We want to be able to do it in these sessions too.
Eso es lo que vamos a ver o sea, lo que tiene que verse en 2 sesiones, más allá de la película.
It's deep. It's really deep.
Es profundo, es muy profundo.
But it's uncompromising for divinity.
Es un compromiso con
So
la
I'm just going to
divinidad.
ask, what are you hearing? Yes or no? No.
Quiero preguntarte qué escuchaste, ¿sí o no?
Yeah, here. Okay, Lena's hearing no, she's hearing yes. What are you hearing?
I heard yes.
Okay, I hear no. So look, it's not a vote.
Wow.
It's not a vote. So what you want to do is
Esto no es un voto, exacto, no es una votación.
so every individual needs to ask in their heart, do I have some kind of idea about doctors and doctor appointments or anything I need to clear from my mind so I'm 100% clear with you, Jesus?
Tengo que estar 100% seguro acerca de Jesús, de la respuesta de Jesús.
Thank you.
Am I gonna, what? Am I gonna feel guilt if I actually go to this appointment, yes or no?
Si sientes culpa, es que estoy en desacuerdo con el sí o el no.
She can experience guilt if she goes to this appointment, yes or no? See, because that's another way to know if there's going to be guilt experience for going, then you see it's not going to be of God, because you never feel, when you're in guidance, you'll never feel guilt.
El sentir culpa también es otra manera de escuchar, de que no, porque es otra manera de experimentar el amor, el no amor del Padre, la falta de amor del Padre.
So this is really a good opportunity for everyone to look at their own fear about various things in the mind that interfere with hearing the guidance with abject clarity.
Esta es una buena oportunidad de escuchar los miedos y temores acerca de seguir la guía en nuestra mente, claramente.
And we can get clear on Jesus. Is there any smidgen of fear around this and the motivation for doing it?
Y preguntar a Jesús si existe algún tipo de motivación o de temor acerca de esto.
Yes or no?
¿Sí o no?
Definitely.
Definitivamente sí.
Okay, she is giving everyone a really deep gift here.
Todos tienen que ir profundamente aquí.
Because what she's showing us all is how difficult it is to be clear if we have mixed feelings about things.
Está mostrando cuán difícil puede ser a veces estar claro y hacer lo que tenemos que hacer.
And how we need each other to support each other in being absolutely clear.
Y cómo tenemos que apoyarnos unos a otros para estar completamente claros.
Because in the ways of the world, the doctor and that sort of thing, it's an area where, there's a lot, the ego throws up a lot of pain and resistance and suffering and fear and.
Sí, porque en este sistema, en este mundo, los doctores o el tema de los doctores tienen mucha resistencia porque tienen que ver con las enfermedades, con los dolores.
And at another time, it could be fine. So we're just testing this particular time and just saying, Jesus, is it in guidance? Is it most helpful for healing my mind? I want clarity. I demand clarity in my mind on this. See, we can do that.
Y podemos pedirle a Jesús que nos dé claridad en la mente para poder escuchar y seguir su guía de manera inequívoca.
I want to see this with the eyes of God.
Quiero ver esto con la mirada de Dios.
And we can ask him, Jesus, is there any resistance to not following you on this that I could clear from my mind so I can be absolutely clear on this?
Tenemos que preguntarle entonces a Jesús si tenemos alguna resistencia de seguir su guía y de escucharle claramente.
He's already showing me that I should go, and I will. I don't think there'll be any guilt. I don't think I'll feel guilt about going.
Ok, Jesús le acaba de mostrar que si decide ir, no tiene que mostrar ninguna culpa ni sentir ninguna culpa por ir.
So what we want to do is ask him, Jesus,
¿Y qué hace cuando le preguntamos a Jesús?
Is there any fear around me not going? Like if I don't go, is there some kind of fear around that?
Preguntarle a Jesús si tengo algún temor por el hecho de que no fuese, de que no vaya.
Yes.
Sí.
And is this fear driving my decision?
Es libre mi decisión.
Yes.
Sí.
This is an incredible gift we're getting. This is the course live. This is what the course is right here, what she's demonstrating.
Este es el curso vivo. Esto es una gran decisión. El
Because
curso vivo.
it takes a deep commitment to ourselves and to truth to look this deeply with Jesus.
Es el compromiso de buscar profundamente con Jesús, profundamente.
Because he just wants to show us how many things in our mind we're doing out of fear, out of loss, out of feeling
buscar
abandoned by God.
Es buscar en nuestra mente nuestros temores acerca de sufrimientos y pérdidas que tengan que ver con Dios.
Now, Nancy's done a lot of deep looking at desires. Maybe we could look, this is really deep, you guys, where she can go, okay, Jesus, what's the underlying desired experience under all this?
Y buscar profundamente en los deseos y decir, ¿cuál es la línea del tiempo, Jesús, para mirar esto?
The desire to have surgery.
But what's under that, like deeply?
El deseo de una cirugía profundamente.
The desire to,
El deseo de
the desire to be blinded. Is that
deseo to be? Can you repeat this one? This word,
Okay.
to be, desire to.
Ask this, just test this one out, Nancy, okay? We're going to test it out.
What blinded means. Blinded, sightless.
She can't see.
Ella no
De
puede ver.
quedar ciega.
Ajá, yes. El deseo de estar ciega, de quedar ciega, ya.
But there's a deep desire. So ask him, there's a desire. This is just, okay, and you can test it out, Nancy, because you're good at looking at these desires, but Jesus, do I
Busquemos
have
entonces el deseo.
a deep desire to use this to prove God wrong? Yes or no?
Este es el deseo de probar que estás equivocado, sí o no.
I'm hearing yes.
See, she's very honest. This is
Y yo escucho que sí. Ella es muy honesta.
but boy, this is powerful. He's really showing us how to go deep in the mind on these things.
Es muy poderoso ir profundamente a la mente para mirar esto.
Now she's had a lot of practice. So with the yes, no with Jesus, now he's using this. This is profound.
Ella tiene, sí, práctica, ir profundamente, esto es muy profundo con Jesús.
Lena says, I love it.
Wow.
Proven God wrong. Using it to prove God
Sí,
wrong.
sí,
Jesus, when am I willing to accept the miracle on this to change my mind that that using this to prove God wrong has any value?
Yes, I'm willing to accept the
Jesús,
miracle.
Jesús, estoy dispuesta a aceptar el milagro de que para liberar este deseo de que quiero probar de que estás equivocado.
Let me tell you,
Sí,
this
estoy
is a
dispuesta.
big healing for everybody on this right here. This is a great gift she's given.
Este es un gran regalo que nos
Because
han dado.
she was specific and she had an idea about it, but she's willing to look.
Ella fue específica y tenía la voluntad y la disposición de mirar.
So what is he telling you, Nancy?
¿Qué te está diciendo, Nancy?
Well, I'm not going to prove God wrong.
Yo no estoy probando que Dios está equivocado.
So what's he right about?
¿Qué te dice
The
acerca de
desire.
eso?
He's right about the desire to prove God wrong.
Acerca del deseo
Because I
de
do
probar que
have,
Dios está equivocado.
I do have issues with doctors.
But what we
Y
want to
que
do is get to the real issue and let him reveal because we just move in this world with certain things that we just want to be clear on.
Queremos estar claro a este respecto. Que nos revele para estar claro a este respecto.
If we're using an experience like something that we're going to do, if that's being used by the ego to prove God wrong, we really want to be clear about that.
Tenemos que estar claros acerca de que vamos a utilizar que lo que algo tenga que hacer puede probar que Dios está equivocado.
See, Jesus is not going to give us an assignment that can be used by the ego to prove God is wrong.
Jesús no va a utilizar una acción del ego para probar que Dios está equivocado.
So we want to really get to the root of what the play is in consciousness here for ourselves, for all of us.
Queremos ver la raíz de esto, el juego de la conciencia para todos nosotros.
I don't know what am I supposed to say something there? I don't know.
Well, just ask Jesus. Okay, so just confirm your understanding so that you feel clear. So is this in some way, me going to the doctor, whatever this timeline is it being used by the ego in some way to hold on to personal identity? Yes or no? Because we want to know that.
Yes.
Ok, quiero saber si esto que quiero hacer en la línea del tiempo representa algo en contra de mi verdadera identidad, ¿sí o no?
And then the ego's using that to prove God wrong. Right? Do you still hear that?
Y el ego va a utilizar esto para probarte que Dios está equivocado. ¿Tú dijiste eso?
But what's glorious about this is Jesus has shown us directly. Now you can use that to look directly with him at the desire to prove God wrong and release that to a freaking miracle. So we're not running around doing stuff that's trying to prove God wrong.
Jesús puede probar, o sea, al admitirlo, Jesús puede probar de que existe en ti el deseo y entonces liberar. Está muy profundo.
Jesus, am I willing to change my mind that this proving God wrong is valuable? Am I willing to change my mind about it? I hear
Jesús,
yes.
estoy dispuesto.
Yes.
I hear yes, man.
Jesús, estoy dispuesto a mirar profundamente directo Precisamente esto, probar que Dios está equivocado, sí o no.
Look, these sessions are going to be wake ups big time. If everyone jumps in like she's jumping in, let me tell you, you're going to go far fast with Jesus on this.
Esta es una sesión con la que damos un salto para el despertar. Muy interesante, muy profundo.
See, and then we can't ever be fooled with the ego on this kind of stuff anymore. Because we gave up the desire for the experience.
Y así podemos ver el deseo de la experiencia y entonces deshacer al ego.
Jesus, am I willing to accept a miracle? Hey, I hear yeah.
Yes.
Jesús,
Yeah.
estoy dispuesta a aceptar el milagro. Sí, dije que sí, sí.
Yes.
I'm feeling smoke and fire moving, man. So much love.
Qué amor, mucho amor, qué amor, cuánto amor.
And this is just
Yes.
one example of how seeing through these things with Jesus, so we're so clear on guidance.
Este es un ejemplo de cómo ir a través de Jesús y seguir la guía.
Are you hearing anything else on this, Nancy?
The miracle is for me is that this appointment is going to be used for the total love of the Father.
El milagro. Ella preguntó, ok. Kai preguntó si escucha algo más, Nancy. Ella dijo que sí, que el milagro le muestra el amor de Dios por ella.
Let's ask him if the desire to use this to prove God wrong has been clear, yes or no.
El deseo de probar de que Dios está equivocado, ¿está claro? Sí o no.
The desire for an experience that would prove God wrong.
El deseo de la experiencia de probar de que Dios está equivocado.
With this appointment, yes.
Estoy
No,
de
not
acuerdo.
the appointment. Is the desire still there in the mind to create an experience that's going to prove God wrong and use this appointment to prove God wrong?
No es el punto, es el probar que, o sea, el aceptar que tienes el deseo de una experiencia de probar de que Dios está equivocado.
Is that still in the mind? Yes or no?
¿Está todavía en la mente? Sí o no.
Not with this appointment, but probably in other things.
No, pero está en otras cosas.
Jesus, is there still fear around this appointment? Is that what's driving this?
Está en la desaprobación presente en esto.
Yes.
Sí.
So that's all we want to look at. You see, it's not beating ourselves up with a wet noodle. We just want to be clear at the underpinnings underneath every single thing that we do, how we're motivated by fear. But the fear that motivates us is so we can keep the guilt of doing something out of guidance.
Tenemos que buscar profundamente porque el temor se esconde y se oculta profundamente y permite que no sigamos la guía.
You know, how we use these things to try to keep safety and comfort, but the safety and comfort comes from Jesus.
Y evitamos entonces estar cómodos y seguros con la guía.
So it's just something to contemplate, to make sure that we're so 100% clear. And really understand the mechanisms of the ego that's going to keep us it traps us in guilt and fear.
Tenemos que mirar, estar completamente seguros, 100% seguros, a través de la contemplación para descubrir los mecanismos del ego para mantenernos en la culpa y en el temor.
So we can ask, so we can ask, okay, whether it's this appointment or something else, is there some kind of fear underneath this? Is there, because it's always,
Tenemos que preguntar si hay algún temor.
we just want to make sure, see, the ego is always about loss. So it's always trying to have us do things so that what it perceives that we wouldn't be lost. We wouldn't have a loss in it.
El ego siempre va a tratar de que nos perdamos, siempre va a tratar de que estemos perdidos y nos sintamos distraídos.
See, and the spirit never moves out of fear. It doesn't move out of fear. Only the ego can move out of fear.
El espíritu nunca se mueve hacia el miedo. El ego solamente se mueve hacia el miedo.
So the way it creates a hell sandwich
Es una manera de crear un sándwich.
is that it fears loss if you don't do something.
Si tienes el miedo de la pérdida por hacer algo,
And then it makes a sandwich of fearing loss if you do what the spirit's telling you to do.
y entonces tienes el miedo de una pérdida si haces eso que
So
tienes
then-
que hacer.
That's the trap in hell.
Eso es estar atrapado en el infierno.
So this guidance is so important. It's going to take, I can see it's going to take a while for us to get more and more comfortable going really deep into looking at these things that are appearing that we think we're so sure that are essential.
Tenemos que ir profundo y estar seguros de esta guía y tenemos que estar cómodos y estar seguros porque esto es esencial.
But they're actually like a threat. It's the ego. Like when I was having all those experiences and it was a lot of clearing energy, but then I went to the emergency room. And then now I know from Jesus, I didn't need to do that at all.
Ok, tenemos que ver cuánta energía se mueve a través del ego para poder liberarla.
So we're going to continue this conversation on Thursday night.
Podemos continuar esta conversación el jueves en la noche.
And then we can all just have a conversation. It's just a conversation. You just want to be 100% clear on guidance and timing of guidance.
Y podemos entonces estar más claro acerca de seguir la guía.
And so what we're going to do is have a special guest that's going to come on.
Ajá, y vamos a tener un invitado especial.
And I'm going to see if I can find the link. Hold on a minute so I can send it to all of you. Is the link to the music in here?
Yeah, vamos a tener un
The
invitado.
music is in,
Colocar algo de música.
Messenger. Do you want me to forward it?
Yes, can you
To the
forward it? But I need to put it also. Okay, so Lori is going to sing for us, but I need to find her.
Boris va a cantarnos, pero necesito encontrarlo.
It's going to take me a second to pull it up.
Esperemos un segundo.
We have it in Spanish and English, and Lena can share it in WhatsApp.
Lina lo puede compartir en WhatsApp, lo tenemos en español también. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to put it in the chat. It's a really beautiful song she wrote.
Es una linda canción.
Okay. Thank you, Lori, for joining us again.
Sí, gracias.
Greetings,
Gloria.
Almighty. Greetings.
Saludos. Saludos.
God, you're bright. A song of gratitude and surrender.
So it's right there in the chat if you want to sing along,
Búsquelo en el chat.
but I'm going to mute everybody
Sí,
because there's a delay and it'll sound strange.
Ok. Y colóquense en silencio, porque si no va a sonar extraño.
And please translate this little bit. I'd like to sing a little bit of it. You hear that okay? Are you there?
Sí, estamos aquí.
Yeah, we hear it. We hear it.
Okay. I'd like to sing a little bit and then give you a chance to sing it.
Quiero tocar y que ustedes tengan la oportunidad de cantar.
So listen to this first.
Escuchen esta parte.
This is called Feel the Real. We are riders of the storm, bringers of light, savior from the dark. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Your two, turn. Whoa. We are riders of the storm, bringers of light, saviors from the dark. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Oh, Joe. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Dusting off hiddenness. The crazy bubble and the peace. Sudden sparks, willingness, perfect yes. Here we go. Whoa, whoa, we are riders of the storm, bringers of light, saviors from the dark. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Oh, Joe. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Calls to join right here, right now. Rays of light, eyes of only love. How sweet it is, the light you bring, shining guide. Father shines in our minds. Whoa, whoa, we are riders of the storm, breakers of light, saviors from the dark. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Feel the real, the Father shines in my minds. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Feel the real, the Father shines in our minds. Whoa.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
We love you. We're glad to have you back on with us.
Yes.
Thank
Gracias,
you. Keep
Lori.
following the Holy Spirit.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
Buenas noches.